Honorable Men Discord. Let's talk Afroman and his recent win. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So who is Afroman? Right? Afroman is a rap artist who came up with the 2000 song Before I Got High. Right? He was recently, Because I Got High, excuse me. Right? He was recently in a defamation lawsuit that was placed against him by the sheriff county because they raided his home and he had camera footage inside his house. He recorded them going through his home. They actually broke his door to get into the home. And so what he did in return was he took advantage of the fact that he had the footage of them raiding his home. Now, this happened a few years ago, all right? This happened maybe 4 years ago. And he had the footage, so he used the footage to do what artists do best, which was create art. So he created art, and trust me when I tell you, just do your due diligence. Go to Afroman's YouTube and watch the videos he made. It's diabolical. First of all, shout out to No Mercy Harlem. He brought this to my attention. And the more I dived into this, the more I said, wow, this guy has balls. Now, I have my thoughts on this, but let's watch this video. This is actually courtesy of 7 News Australia. So he's winning. I mean, when you have Australian news reporting a case that you were involved in, you're winning. All right. It made it that far. All right. So let's get into this news report and I'm going to talk about it further.
And he just won a defamation lawsuit against police for a music video diss track. More specifically, he was sued over music videos in which he used home security footage to mock their raid of his home. You might know him from his 2000s track,
I was gonna clean my room until I got high.
or this trial.
And when they call you a son of a that would be an opinion?
I'd say that would be an opinion.
Because there's no way we can prove whether you're a son of a
Nah, she's been dead for years.
All right, so real quick. So the raid happened in August of 2022. All right. They raided his home, searching for drugs and kidnapping evidence, none of which was found. And this is what led to him making videos. The issue here is, and I'm going to continue with this 7 News Australia report. The issue is that for every, I want to say most of the officers, if not all of them, that went into his home with guns drawn, for every officer, he did his due diligence. I guess he looked into their names and he began to make records about each and every one of them. And like I said, this is diabolical. You're going to want to go to YouTube and look into this. The guy has balls, because I don't advise this. For those of you watching this, I don't advise you. I mean, making a song about a case, if you want to make a song, yes, but the way that he decided to make these songs, only Afroman can pull this off. But I personally would not advise anyone to try to do something like that. It's not in your best interest to go against law enforcement in that fashion, because it puts a target on you. All right. And I'm not saying law enforcement all across the board is dirty. I would never say that. I have family members that are in law enforcement, but you're bringing a lot of attention to yourself. But that's another thing you need to look into also. Take a look at the video from the court, which is available on YouTube. I would say look at that and look at how he handled himself when he was testifying, which I was impressed by that. You know, despite his choice in the suit and everything, he's exercising his right as a U.S. citizen. He's allowed to do what he wants. I want to say this whole outfit that he had on in court reminded me of something that it was sort of like something Don King would have done. All right, so you can't tell me he wasn't inspired or wasn't a fan of Don King and Don King in his prime. But let's get back to this news report and we'll talk about it further.
Sorry. I am sorry about your mother.
In 2022, police searched the rapper's home for evidence of drug possession and trafficking and kidnapping, but no evidence was found and no charges were filed. However, during the search, Afroman said officers broke his gate and security surveillance wiring, took $400 in cash, and frightened his family who was home during the raid. So, what do? Write a rap song about them, of course. His wife filmed the raid on her phone, and video recordings were also made on home security cameras. Afroman used this footage to make music videos in which he taunted the officers.
I'm going to make a correction on what she said. It's his ex-wife, because in the court case, he spoke about the fact that his ex-wife was the one who gave the officers access to his safes. He had 2 safes in his home, and apparently they wanted to see what was in the safe. So Afroman in the court case said that he gave his ex-wife reluctantly the codes to the passcode, the codes for the safes, which there was nothing in it, but he gave her the passcode so that they could look inside to see that there's nothing there, because they were combing through every last thing looking for some evidence. But again, go to YouTube, or we're already on YouTube, but go to Afroman, look up that actual case and what he said about it, and the fact that he gave his ex-wife the passcode for the saves, the 2 saves that he had in his house. But let's continue.
Judge who issued the warrant. One song he wrote is called Will You Help Me Repair My Door? Another song Afroman created is titled Lemon Pound Cake. After one moment from the security footage that showed a police officer stopping for a moment during the raid to look at a lemon pound cake that was on the kitchen counter. The deputies in their testimony said the songs ridiculed them.
Listen, the video about this woman officer, wow, disrespectful. I'm not gonna sit here and say it wasn't. It was disrespectful, and this is why I say it was. That's why I use the word diabolical, because the videos that he put out about these officers was diabolical. I would never. All right, this is why I say I would advise everyone not to do what Afroman has chosen to do. He has the right to do that, clearly, because he won the case. But I would not advise everyone to take the same route as Afroman. He's his own individual on this one. But I will speak about this further at the end.
But Afroman's lawyer, David Osborne, said it was not unusual for artists to engage in social commentary to exaggerate, and that police and public officials are called names online all the time, whether or not they like it.
Yes, I had the right to my freedom of speech. After they left, I had the right to kick the can and to do what I had to do to repair the damage they brought to my house.
This is US rapper.
Yes. All right. So this is him celebrating after his win. And I find it hard to believe that the people behind him aren't paid actors, or I can't imagine these are actual people that were outside the court celebrating with him, because they have signs up and everything. So I think this was orchestrated. This is from his page, but let's take a look at this.
Yeah, we did it, America. Yeah, we did it. Freedom of speech. Right on, right on. Yeah, God bless America. Yeah, power to the people. Yeah.
All right, so let me just say a few things about this. All right, so he won the defamation case March 18, 2026. It says deputies from the Adams County, Ohio, had sued him for defamation and false light after he used footage of a raid on his home in a music video. The jury in his favor on all 13 claims, meaning he didn't owe any damages. Afroman called it a win for free speech. I will agree, this was a win for free speech. Although, once again, I would not advise you artists out there to go and make songs against police officers. I just wanted to advise it. All right, but to each his own. You're gonna do what you find you find suitable, but I would advise against it. But so here's the thing. One of the things that stood out for me during the case, and I watched it. All right. First of all, I like the way that he handled himself while on the panel. right? And this is why I advise those of you watching this to actually go and watch when he was in court, because the lawyer representing the deputies, I felt, was trying to evoke emotion out of him, which he was successful in some of the questions, but nevertheless, Afroman handled himself well. He was very respectful. He said, "Sir," and it's something to study. Outside of all the what some may look at as buffoonery, he handled himself well while in court, and that's something to be studied, and that's something to note, and that's something to look at and observe, because you don't want to do things like this and then be extremely emotional when you're in court, right? And I think that's part of the reason why he was able to win. Outside of that, he was very specific as to his motivation and why he made these videos. He said none of these videos would have been made had they not raided his home and broke his door. So here's the thing. When there's emergencies, let's say a fire, for example, I know the fire department knocks down doors. They are not responsible after the fact for knocking down a door, because the priority is to save lives, right? So any damage to your home, whether they go through the window, what have you, the priority is to save lives, right? I understand that in those circumstances. But when there's a raid, when there's a warrant given, and you knock down someone's front door, you know, whatever damage you do as a police officer, this is my question to those of you in law enforcement, and this is a serious question. It's always a serious and respectful question. Who's responsible for repairing these things that were damaged in a situation like this where nothing was found? Because in that court hearing, Afroman was very specific in saying, listen, the door was knocked down and nothing was found. They should have never been in there in the first place, although they were able to obtain a warrant. Nothing was found, and I was left to repair my door. So he said he went about it the way he knows best. He's an artist. So had he not been an artist, who knows how this would have went. He still has the right as a United States citizen to utilize his freedom of speech, right? But because he's an artist, it just fell in line to what he's done in the past. He makes music, he makes videos. So he made music and made videos to create the revenue, create the streams, create the viewership, to bring in money to repair his door. Because at the end of the day, at no point in time was it ever said that the sheriffs or the deputies, I should say, they weren't planning on paying for the door. And so the question that I ask is, when these things happen, is law enforcement ever responsible for fixing the door? I mean, that's a front door is a very important part of a home. You know, we're not talking about if they went in the home and other things were broken. But again, if he's innocent and nothing was found, is it within the guidelines of protocol that you just walk away and the person is now with that unsecured home? How does that work? And I'm very curious to know, how does that really work? And I'd like to believe there's a way for those people who have been a part of raids to receive payment for property that was damaged, especially if nothing was found. If they're innocent and nothing was found, I would believe, as a tax-paying citizen, as I am and as Afroman is, I'd like to believe that someone's responsible for the repairs. And again, he won, so this is not a matter of an opinion that I have. He won in court, so he had a valid reason to do what he does as an artist and make videos. Now, do I agree with the way he went about talking about the officers? I don't agree. I don't advise it, and I don't agree. It was entertaining. He's very creative. The way he put the songs together, the melodies. He used some melodies on one of the songs that I saw from an old record. But he has a fan base. It worked, and his numbers are incredible. I was impressed by his numbers. Most of these songs at the time of this recording of this video, most of his songs on YouTube, from the songs directed towards the officers, were already at 1 million views. Already at 1 million views. Only one that I saw, because I saw 3 videos. and there was this one just under 1 million, but it was already high in the 900,000s, and I was shocked. I was even more shocked actually at the fact that his Because I Got High, and I hope I'm saying that right again. The first time I messed up, the Because I Got High, yes, Because I Got High. I was shocked to see that has over 300 million views. I was blown away by those numbers. Listen, I'm aware of that record, but 300 million views, I'm blown away. I'm speechless. Listen, it's something to be studied. Again, do your due diligence. I'm not going to play those videos because I'm sure I'll probably get a strike for playing it. But do your own due diligence. Watch those videos and immerse yourself in the fact that he exercised his free speech and he won. And so, I applaud him. I applaud the fact that he has balls. He has balls. He has balls. The way he went about exercising his freedom of speech, he has balls. But I wouldn't advise any one of you out there to do that same thing. That's just how I see it. But to each his own. What's your thoughts on all of this? If you're aware of this, if you watch the court case on YouTube, let me know your thoughts in the comments about the court case and how he handled himself. Do you agree with what I said about how he handled himself? How he handled himself well when responding to the questioning? And what's your thoughts on the videos? Do you think he was out of line? Or do you think he was within his rights? Do you think he could have went about it a different way? Or is this pretty much how he makes his music? If you're a fan of Afroman, if you're familiar with most of his songs that he's put out. The only song I'm aware of prior to this was Because I Got High. And I'll be honest, that was the only song that I was aware of, but that doesn't mean he hasn't put out other good songs. But let me know your thoughts on this. But listen, as always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. On your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.